Good people, welcome back to the Basketball Society podcast. This is Martin Soaries, and I'm about to go all in on my thoughts on the latest trade, Damian Lillard to Milwaukee. He's teaming up with Giannis, and I'm about to give you guys all of my thoughts on that. Welcome back to the show. It's good to have you here. If you're new, please subscribe wherever you're listening from. We're on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube. You can watch more episodes of the Basketball Society podcast on YouTube. We have video episodes featuring some special guests, coaches, players, a lot of media, interesting people out here in the basketball culture. And we have a lot more episodes and special guests coming your way. So you can check out video episodes and even more basketball content on the Basketball Society YouTube channel. So stay tapped in and make sure you are subscribed on YouTube as well. And all of the podcast episodes, video and audio, are available on the YouTube channel. Before we get started, make sure you follow Basketball Society on social media if you're not already, mainly on Instagram, because that's where most of our stuff will be. And all of our daily activity runs through the Instagram. It's Basketball Society _. And you can follow me at martin.soaries on Instagram and Soaries on Twitter. So we are about to talk about this Damian Lillard thing. He's going to Milwaukee to play with Giannis. He's played with LaMarcus Aldridge, CJ McCollum. Both of those were fine, legitimate star duos when they existed, but he has yet to play with one of the arguably best players in the whole league. He's yet to play with an individual force like Giannis, and vice versa. Giannis, while he has played with Jrue Holiday, who I'm going to talk about also in a little bit. Obviously, Jrue Holiday is part of that trade. So essentially, you're looking at a Milwaukee Bucks team that is essentially just swapping out Jrue Holiday for Damian Lillard. That's one of the interesting things about this that I'm going to kind of talk about first, is just what that looks like, how that changes their team. We all know how tough Jrue Holiday is and just how good of a basketball player he really is. And to that point, I mean, Giannis won a championship with Jrue Holiday, Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, those guys that he's been with. They won a title just 2 years ago. So that group was good, was championship good. As good as Jrue Holiday is, you're looking at Damian Lillard, who is of course, you want a bigger name if you want to say that. He's more of a star player. He's been, more of an all-star caliber player. You're really looking at elite defense versus elite shot making, right? Like what is Jrue truly elite at as a guard? He does pretty much everything well, but in terms of his elite trait, it's his two-way ability, but really defensively is where you look at Jrue as like he's elite on that side of the ball and the things he can do defensively as a guard. Dame is elite offensively, shot making. And I think that's just right away the biggest difference when you look at how Milwaukee will be different shot making. And Jrue Holiday hits shots, right? He's a capable shooter. Dame is one of the most lethal shooters in the league. Just the gravity of Milwaukee's offense now expands having a player like Dame out there. A player like Dame who is so lethal as a shot maker and offensively. He's the kind of player that can take so much offensive pressure off of Giannis and also off of Chris Middleton, because now Chris Middleton is really a true third option instead of being the second option and sometimes the first option when they need certain kinds of shots to be hit. Obviously, Chris Middleton is more of a perimeter shooter and player than Giannis is, and that's why they've worked well together, because Middleton gives you what he can do on the perimeter with his size, and Giannis obviously dominates more so inside. But even the pressure that Chris Middleton has to continually face to be that primary perimeter scorer, along with Jrue, who would help out, and along with other guys on Milwaukee that would fill out and help to score. But as far as that primary perimeter scorer, that was Chris Middleton's responsibility. Dame takes a lot of pressure off of Giannis and Chris Middleton in that sense, because because of who he is and what he does. He draws attention. He pulls the defense out. He can shoot from right over half court. We know that. He's also a great just playmaker on the move. The kind of offense that Dame is going to contribute and provide, just as a threat, just as an offensive shot making and scoring threat, really it does change Milwaukee. I understand the question about, like, are they that much better? I personally don't think it, for me, it doesn't take me to, like, Milwaukee's and I know, like, based on the odds or Vegas or whatever, now Milwaukee's like favored to win the championship. Like, they're the favorites to win it all now. And you don't have to put too much stock in that. But I mean, for me personally, I still don't see them as like favorites at full strength with Dame and Giannis in that group. To me, I do see them as more of the favorites in the East in this league. Especially in the last few years, as we've seen star duos, form and emerge. LeBron and AD, Kawhi and Paul George. You've got Jimmy and Bam, Tatum and Brown, all kinds of duos all over the place. Harden and Embiid linked up. You've got Durant and Booker now. You've got Kyrie and Luka now. Star duos are becoming more of the trend as opposed to the big threes. Dame and Giannis really is a match made in basketball heaven. I see that as perfectly perfect. This is how I keep thinking of it, because I don't think it's as simple as, like, who's better between, like, even just last week, if there was a poll out there asking who's better between Damian Lillard and Jrue Holiday, if you know me and you listen to the show, and you listen to me enough, I do like to get a little more specific, because I like to know, are we saying, do you want me to say who I think is better or who I'd rather have? Because those could be two different answers. It gets very subjective. It always depends on the person, right? But for me, having a basketball conversation about who's better, you have to try to be as objective as possible about who's just overall better based on the game of basketball and all the things you have to do to be considered a good basketball player. Who's better between these two people? If you're asking me who I'd rather have, there are more factors that go into it. Who are my other, what kind of team do I have? Do I have any other players? Do I have a certain kind of need that I need to fill with the rest of the roster, right? Or is this the first player I'm taking? Are you asking me, is this the person I want to lead my team? Like, this is my first draft pick or whatever the case. Those are two different things. So Dame versus Jrue Holiday just a week ago is an example of one of those, like, NBA point guard polls and comparisons and debates that gets people talking, because it's kind of controversial, right? You're looking at two different styles. Now, I think most people would go ahead and say Dame is better because we lean towards offense in basketball, as we should. So most people would probably say Dame is better, but there would be an argument for Jrue Holiday. I'm actually thinking of Jason Timpf on Hoops Tonight on The Volume, one of the few basketball podcasts that I actually listen to and tap into and try to keep up with. Jason does a great job. He had a clip go viral recently, without the intent of going viral, I'm sure, because Jason is really, really detailed in the numbers and the stats and the game. He really knows the game. That's why I appreciate him. And he can hoop. I see the videos he puts up. Jason can actually hoop. Jason had a take recently where he put it out there based on the numbers and other factors. He made the case that today Jalen Brunson is a better basketball player than Ja Morant. And I don't mean to laugh, but it just, when you have someone who is really trying to be detailed about how how he presents evidence and communicates how he feels about one basketball player being better than another. Jason really made a legit case to explain why he feels Jalen Brunson today is a better player than Ja Morant. It's similar to this Jrue versus Dame thing for me, because I think it's like look, Dame is a ridiculous talent. He's OD. Ja Morant, ridiculous talent, OD. I think the main thing you look at the difference, Jalen Brunson is like really great talent. He doesn't do the kind of talent things that Ja Morant does, but Jalen Brunson is more of like a workhorse, kind of more of a gritty player who can also score. Jalen Brunson has a bag and he gets buckets. Like, he can score. We've seen what he can do in these last couple years from Dallas, now with the Knicks. Like, we've seen what he can do. He can score 20 a game in the league. That's that's something. That's more than something. He's a really good NBA player. Again, Jrue has been known to be a high-level two-way player. Dame is known as a high-level offensive player. More, you'd put Dame on a higher scale offensively than Jrue, but Jrue is still, Jrue still gives you good offense. Again, Jrue hasn't been averaging 20 a game, but Jrue will get 15 to 20. Perfectly capable offensive player, Jrue Holiday, and then he gives you elite level defense. So again, I could see someone making the case that, I'd rather have Jrue right now than Dame, because he gives me more on defense, and I'm perfectly fine with him on offense. The thing about basketball and the thing about offense and scoring is that the more capable you are of scoring more based on your personnel and your ability, the scarier you are as a team. And, going back to the Giannis and Chris Middleton, like the offensive pressure, I think the group Milwaukee has had, I do think they might have hit their peak. I mean, I look, they could have won the East this year with Jrue Holiday, with the group they have. I believe that. I think they could have been right back there. Listen, Giannis was banged up against Miami in their playoff series last season. Maybe that's different if Giannis is like 100%. Like, the group they had was perfectly solid. Again, not that much different from the group they had when they won the title just 2 years ago. I'm sure the front office felt like, this is the last year of Jrue's contract. I'm sure Milwaukee, they looked at it like, let's make a move to show how serious we are. Again, I don't think it boils down as simply to who's better between Dame and Jrue, but Damian Lillard with Chris Middleton and Giannis does sound scarier than Jrue Holiday. It does. And the main reason it sounds scarier is because of what Dame does as a shot maker. You do need, great defense to be a great team. But in today's NBA, in today's game, you need the elite offense first. You need the elite shot making, whether it's Giannis just looking a little limited where they're able to build a wall, whether it's Miami or another team that kind of figures Giannis out in moments where he's just not able to get things off, and his shot, he doesn't have any kind of rhythm with his shot. If Chris Middleton is hurt or not 100% or not there, that's the thing too. If Middleton or someone is out, like, now you have an extra offensive weapon who can win you a few games if someone else is out. Devin Booker just got KD last year. Luka got Kyrie. Like, it's crazy how these stars are now able to, alleviate some of their own individual pressure by teaming up with another star. That's why you do it mainly. And I'm always excited for guys like Giannis and Dame, and Book and KD, and like, I'm excited for guys to be able to play with other elite guys. That's always fun for me to just watch play out. Dame's shooting ability with Giannis as a floating, mobile, ultimate dual forward threat. That two-man game, that transition, that half-court offense, their offense is going to at their best. The Bucks offense is going to boom. When you have offensive ability like Damian Lillard's and you have just a machine like Giannis, the two of them alone will wear you out. And you've got Chris Middleton. That's different. To me, with Dame, they just seem, it sounds and seems a lot, just not a lot, just a little bit scarier. Milwaukee was a really good team already. Hell, even a great team. They won a championship with Jrue. Like that they had a great unit. I mean, now it's really on Dame to kind of prove like what he can do now with a group that did win before. I mean, no one's comparing this to like KD going to the Warriors or anything, because it's not that. And then I'm not trying to compare it to that, but just the notion that Milwaukee has won without Dame. They won with Jrue Holiday just 2 years ago. I do think they're a little scarier. I do think they're just scarier. I think they can. I definitely feel like they're championship worthy. Dame in there instead of Jrue, I just see them as a little more lethal and scary offensively, which to me just makes them more lethal and a little bit scary overall. Just a fun fact to remember, Giannis did pick Dame as his first pick in the All-Star game. and LeBron called him out on it right away. Like, yo, I see what you're doing. Giannis drafted Dame as his first pick in the All-Star game over Jrue Holiday. Jrue was sitting right there. Giannis picked Dame. And then I saw a video clip of Dame doing a segment on some kind of social media segment where he was like answering Twitter questions on camera.
I hope he would get to play with Giannis at some point. Those two would be a very, very nice combo. I mean, I would say just the dominance, somebody that's, going to get to the rim. He's a good playmaker, a good defender, disruptive, and the way he plays complements the way I play.
Jamal Murray and Jokic are really made for each other. At their best, they've really become perfect for each other. We cannot overstate how powerful and how explosive that can be offensively, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it. More thoughts coming on the way. We've got basketball season approaching, NBA season, college, high school, everything under the sun basketball. We're going to be tapped in right here on the Basketball Society podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening from. If you're on Apple Podcasts, go down and leave a rating and review of the show. I would really appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe, leave a comment, tap in with me, talk with me, and I'll be back soon with some more basketball talk. Much love. This is Martin Soaries. I will talk to you guys next time.